G'day mate, and welcome back to Dyson Sphere with me, Jetty, and of course, Mr. Icarus. And today we're moving on with the next science pack. But before we get to that, a couple of things. First off, for all of you guys who are new here, welcome to the channel. Thank you for coming and watching the series, brand new series. This series, we're going to be doing a lot of blueprints. I want to share a lot of blueprints with you guys. In fact, in our last episode, we managed to get the workshop up and running, which I do admit had a couple of minor little flaws that passed quality control. They have all been fixed. They are up and running. Well, almost been fixed. We have, in this particular blueprint, we have 6 pieces, really. We've got an outline to, work out exactly how big this area is to start with, and then, 6 different versions to build up this blueprint. I think version 4, 5, and 6 have all been updated, so now everything works correctly. The one thing that managed to escape quality control, Mark 2.0, was this particular sorter, which is in the 3rd blueprint. So that may be corrected in the future, may not. Upgrading and changing blueprints in Dyson Sphere is an absolute pain. So we will see. It took hours and hours and hours to fix the previous blueprints, because after you make a blueprint, there's no real way to edit it. Anyway, with that out of the way, first thing we want to do this episode is oil. So do me a favor, if you like oil, you like red science, because that's the other thing we need to work out. We need to work out how to make the energy matrix, which requires us to get oil up and running. Can you do me a favor? Can you click the like button? So, and also I need to start research, and to do oil, we need a bunch of refineries. In fact, I need 24 refineries, along with 3 of the oil thingamajiggy-bobs, oil extractors, that's the one. We've just finished the graphene research, and I want belt. We're just doing a quick check-in to make sure we have all the bits and pieces I would like to grab before we run off. We got belt, didn't we? We have a whole bunch of iron. The iron is actually a critically important thing. That, there's the Proliferator Mark 1. Proliferator, we're not going to play with this episode. I want to play through a little bit differently. I don't want to just rush through the game as fast as possible. I really want to split each episode into working on 1 or 2 things. So this episode, as I said, we're going to be working on oil. We're also going to do a couple of other things whilst we wait to oil to finish being built, etc. But before we get into all that, one thing I want to do is the devs of Dyson Sphere. They're currently running a armor customization challenge, competition, that's the word I'm looking for. And in here we have a lovely digger. I don't know if that's a C or an A. Either way, did submit a lovely Optimus Prime skin. So I'm going to transfer 1300 iron into this interface. Transfer. And then we're going to click apply, because I said in the previous episode, if anybody makes an Optimus Prime skin for Icarus, we are so going to bring in Icarus Prime? Icarus Prime. Yeah, Icarus Prime. Okay, so with that out of the way, first thing I actually want to do is a complete sidestep, is I want to grab splitters, because I need splitters. Splitters are... hang on. We want half a stack of labs. We want half a stack of splitters. We want that to be capped to 1. I'm going to grab those 11. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to build oil, luckily, right about here. But before I do that, we need to put red and blue science, the original science pack, in the same location. So we're going to rebuild our existing science. And the way I'm going to do that is with a splitter right here, because the science requires, for blue science, it requires the magnetic coils, that's their name, and circuit boards. And conveniently, sort of like it was planned, we happen to have both those items right here. So I am going to bring both those items out and bring them around the outside of our little workshop over to helps if the belts were in a straight line. Thank you. Over to right about here, because we don't have any research we can do with the blue currently, but I'd like it if the blue was at least running whilst we finish doing the red science. So we're going to put in a couple of labs. We're going to set these guys to do blue science. We're also going to put in a slow sorter and a fast sorter from the far belt. We're going to make sure we have an output line right here with a storage box, with a fast sorter out of those into the storage box, and also out of the storage box. It's always important, because we're using this as an inline buffer, that however many sorters we have coming in, we have twice that going out. So we've got one sorter into this storage box, two sorters going out, because I want to start buffering up some blue science. I want to buffer up some blue science down here, because we're about to build red, providing the robots finish hooking up these belts. I'm going to build red here somewhere. But before we do that, we're going to need oil. So I need to put an oil extractor 1, 2, 3. I'll let the bots get to it. And bring that belt down to about here somewhere. And then bring this belt to about here somewhere. Let's just remove that whole belt. Let's put the straight belt in first. And then the fast belt, the angled belt. And that's the other thing I had. Wind turbines. Yeah, I did grab the wind turbines. So we want to bring power over to these guys. So I want to grab power from probably all the way over there and bring that up to that guy. And then whilst we wait for the slowest bots in the world to build everything, I'm going to put a cart, because you guys don't need to see bots slowly, ever so slowly place things. And whilst the bots are busy placing things, I'm going to have Icarus just clean up the forest a little bit. Mainly because all the leaves, all the logs, and the occasional rare materials that we find, we're going to end up using later on. But that's for a future episode. Well, we picked up a nice achievement, 100 organic crystal by collecting plants. This is one of the reasons why I'm just, whilst bots are busy doing things, collecting plants, because you'd never know what you're going to find. Alright, first thing we want to do when it comes to oil is we want to build like that. Okay, so first off we need a belt. In fact, we might make that belt about that long. Alright, power towers, thank you. Alright, when we've got oil, we want production. Is it a production, isn't it? Not a production? Gathering? What is under production? There we go, refinery. I want to have a refinery. So we can talk about what goes on in a refinery. So in a refinery, currently we have only access to one recipe. That is the plasma refinery. Refining. That takes in 2 oil over 4 seconds and gives us 2 refined oil plus 1 hydrogen. And we need to break that down very, very quickly. So that's 2 oil over 4 seconds, which is 1 oil over 2 seconds, or 1 oil over 2 seconds, or half an oil every second. So we know that this runs and consumes half an oil every second. Our belts move 6 items per second. So straight up, I'm going to need 12 refineries. So what we're going to do is we're going to drag out 6. We're going to hit tab twice so we get this little gap in the middle. Means I can put a power pole there, power pole there, power pole there, power pole there. And delete all the Uranus belt off the end. On top of that, we're going to need 2 outputs, because we said that it outputs 2 different items. And then I want another refinery here. What we're actually going to do is we're going to run the other 6 on the other side of the belt. So again, whilst the bots are very busy placing belts ever so slowly, we'll have Icarus just pick up what he can, and you never know what we'll find. Stone, and more stone, and surprise, probably some stone. Yeah. The other thing we can do is actually we'll start putting on the sorters. So let's start. Let's start with one we can actually see. Let's come down to the end and do the first one. Okay. So on the input, I want a simple 1 in. Okay, 1 sorter in. Just put the oil in the machine. Great. On the output, I'm going to have 2 different things. Now, what you can actually do with sorter is you can press tab and have them filter. So I actually want to, or left and right, I should mention left and right as well. So what I want to do is I actually want to put the refined oil on this belt. and put the hydrogen on that belt. I'm going to want the other one on the same, on the other side, to do the exact same combination with an input sorter. No, that is centered. Okay, so now that's done, we're going to be able to drag and copy and paste all those sorters in on that belt. And then same on, I'm out of sorters. No. There we go, hit the right amount of tabs, so we get the right spacing and build that to there. Okay, so we know once this is all built and probably powered, pole, another Tesla tower in here, and one in there, and one in there. Okay, now that that's done, we know we are consuming 6 oil per second, and we are outputting, check the recipe again, for every 1 oil we take in, we put out 1 refined oil, we also put out 1 hydrogen. So if we're bringing in a full belt's worth of oil, we're putting out a full belt's worth of refined oil and half a belt worth of hydrogen. Hydrogen was one of the 2 ingredients that we needed to get the next research done. So the first thing I want to do is I want to put in 2 splitters. And the reason I want the splitters is they let us do priorities. Actually, I want a little bit more of a gap. Okay, we want to put in a splitter here and a splitter here. Okay, because what I want to do is I want to bring in the refined oil there. We need a storage box to put it in, which we're going to use one of these tanks. The reason we're going to use the tanks is the tanks store 10,000 fluid. And we get a milestone. That's also a little bonus. Whereas if I use storage boxes, they don't store a lot. But the other item we needed was hydrogen. Hydrogen we're going to bring out to that tile. And all the way along here, beside the other science build, which is having problems with magnetic coils, but we'll fix that shortly. And we're also... No, hang on. I actually want it to be on that tile. Cool. We're going to bring the hydrogen along to here, and then we're going to make a little red science build. A little red science build that could. So, we need labs. I'm going to need 2 sets of labs, because the green science pack took 3 seconds. So we built 3 of them, obviously. The red science pack takes 6 seconds, so we're going to build 6 of them. So we're going to have 2 stacks 3 high, with an output belt around the outside. And... away. Same story. I'm going to put an output first. I'm going to set you to red science. Set you to red science. Yup. Make sure you have an output sorter and you have an output sorter. We're going to copy and paste that little storage box from there to there. And we're going to make sure you have an input and you have an input and you have an input and you have an input. And finally, a power pole around the rear. So everybody's got power and everybody works. Excellent. So now we just need all the belts built along with the other requirement. The other requirement being the energetic graphite. Now, I have a couple of choices. We could find a local coal reserve. Like this one right here. And we could smelt the energetic graphite and we could bring it across here. Or you put it on that belt. That'd be a very, very good idea. But if you remember at the start of the game, I made a little chest. A little chest to put energetic graphite in. And the reason I made the chest was, well, Icarus was using it to fuel himself. In fact, we have a certain amount in my inventory right now we can dump into this box just to get science up and running, which is good. In fact, we can even take some out of Icarus's fuel cells and dump it in there as well, because I really want this built. Come on, come on. 3 bots, 4 bots. Excellent. So with the hydrogen running, we should start making red science packs. Now, red science packs, I want to do one very, very important thing first. The most important research I actually want is the X-ray cracking. The X-ray cracking, it's part of the oil tree. And what its job is to turn the refined oil, which remember is the one we left all the way back there in a storage container, doing nothing. It'll actually turn that into more hydrogen and more energetic graphite, which is good. because that's exactly what we want. We also got another milestone for making our very first red packs. So, now we've got that underway, we're going to put in a lab. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't think I actually need 6, but we're going to put in a couple of labs right here to start processing this science. 1, 2. Come on, bots. You can do it. You can do it. And a power pole. Like so. Now, all I've done is I've patched the problem for the moment, okay? We're not actually properly making science. It's hand-fed, and I'd like to change that up. And the first thing we're going to do is recharge our battery, open our dump chest, and dump in all the special bits and pieces that I've managed to dig up. Throw the oil straight into Icarus's fuel chamber, and get rid of that, and fly across the map. Because, like I said, I have that chest on the other side of the map, and that chest on the other side of the map is full of this stuff. And if I bring it down here and shove it down here, then we'll have science. We'll have a lot of science, and that's exactly what we're looking for. We're looking for at least the first 400 packs to get this running. On top of that, that fluid container is going to eventually fill up. So let's start. I want to disconnect that and disconnect that for a future project. And we're gonna throw the iron in there. I'm gonna throw the copper in there. I'm going to sort our inventory by opening up and control-click on an empty slot, and then just take everything. In fact, fill up our fuel cells and then take everything. Cool. Alright, and then flying back across the map to where we came from to fill up those chests. And then there's a few other problems we need to take care of whilst we wait for this to tick through. One of them is how slow blue science is. It is painfully slow. We do have a tiny little buffer that we're running on currently, but you can see that only the bottom lab is running. So we're not producing, we dump that in there, we're not producing the magnetic coils fast enough. So we need to go do something about that. What I ran out of? I ran out of, not belt yet, but it never hurts to have extra belt. And not sort of, oh, power poles, that's what I wanted. Grab 200 of those. Okay, so we're making magnetic coils over here. So we can see that they are, from looks of it, short on magnets. So that's exactly what we're going to upgrade. We're going to bring this belt out and bring this belt back. Grab this, drag it along 3. No, we're not even going to put space in. We're going to drag it along 3, wait for the bots to get everything down. Come on, bots. There we go. That's still got a space in it. There we go. And put in a power pole right about here. And take that ore and throw it in there. Okay, so that's going to make magnets a little bit faster, which then should make magnetic coils a little bit faster, because it looks like they were short on magnets. But you know how we could be positive with these things? We just extend this build at the same time. So we're going to grab this guy and we're going to go 3. 3 will bring us out to here. Come on, robots. There we go. And I have a whole bunch of magnets in my inventory, which will just dump into these machines. So hopefully I don't have to see them anymore. And we got back an extra inventory slot. And turns out you didn't get power. So the other thing we can do to speed it up is, again, back up here in this little starter build. A little starter build that could. We have a few more things that we can recycle, so to speak. First off, we have these labs. These labs are obviously not going to be doing anything, nor are these labs. On top of that, we have this chest that's full of magnets. In fact, well, our inventory is full. That's unfortunate. Alright, but we have a chest full of magnets. So we're going to fly our magnets, hopefully without running out of power, and actually going towards our destination. Maybe we want to recharge. Quick recharge. Okay. We want to put down a storage box right about here, which is going to have 2 of these guys outputting, because why not? I'm going to fill it full of magnetic coils, which should mean that that belt is now full of magnetic coils, which should keep blue science running flat out. Next up, whilst we're here, whilst we still have 127 packs to go, we're going to see what else we can recycle. So, the answer is we can obviously recycle these smelters. They're not doing anything. We're going to recycle that iron. We can recycle that assembler. That whole belt. If we feed the magnets in there, that'll make them go away. Can I craft 2 magnets? 1 magnet, 2 magnet. Okay, so that's that cleaned up. You're producing a few more magnetic coils. We're going to remove that belt as well. You're done? You're all done. So we're going to scrap all that. We're going to scrap that belt. If I give you... Let's just hand feed you a bunch of iron. And you'll hopefully drain that smelter line. And then... Can I shove stuff in here? I can. Cool. Alright. Cleaning up the inventory as we go. So... I have 70 packs to kill. Well, 70 packs worth of time to kill. So what I want to do is I want to take this little iron patch that could, and I want to get rid of it. What we're going to do is we're going to build what I call a sky belt. Okay? These are intentionally 1 tile taller than a wind turbine. And their job is to, me to be inside building range, is going to be going to my closest iron ore patch and getting dropped off. So we're going to come to here. And land Icarus before we run out of power. Down to ground level, up 1 tile to about here, and then tag this in here. And the reason is I want this belt to be the priority. I want this belt to feed in first and be run back to back into this build, making magnets and iron, all sorts of other things. The other reason I built a sky belt, and the reason why they are the height they are, is if you see Icarus's drones get thrown a certain amount of tiles up in the air. And conveniently, the sky belt is just about the right amount of tiles as the drones get thrown up in the air. Hey, we've got X-ray cracking. Okay, so let's do the next part of our project. Whilst we wait, we're going to unlock Mecha Core level 2, which is going to give us more energy storage. Doesn't give us any way to burn power faster. It's just about more energy storage. The other research we're going to get is communication control, which will give us 2 extra construction drones. Then we're going to get drone engines, so the drones move 2 meters per second faster. Next one is +1 construction drone tasks. So rather than leaving and just putting down 1 belt at a time, they'll start leaving and putting down 2 belts at a time, which to me is twice as good as what we have currently. Let's stand here, because where are we? Yeah, currently have a task list of 1. Okay, next after that is obviously a little bit more movement speed, then a bit more inventory capacity, then energy circuit. Energy circuit is going to give us more power. We can actually burn material faster, make power faster. Finally, mass construction. We want to have the next layer of the blueprint. That's a lot of research. It's a lot of research, but it shouldn't take too long. And in the meantime, we are running sort of on borrowed time, because it's only the energetic graphite we fed into that chest. Okay, Icarus is fully charged. We need to fly across the map, and that iron is now dealt with. That'll eventually mine itself out. Once it mines itself out, we'll go pick up the miners, pack up the belt, so on and so forth, and we'll be good to go. Oil is that direction. Yeah, that direction. So we want to come down here. First thing we're going to want to do is dump that in there. We're going to keep a few for ourselves. And next thing we want to do is we want to turn off use inventory items, because that'll put the blue packs back in our inventory, which means we can put them in that box. Are you running flat out? You are running flat out. And red is also running flat out. Excellent. Okay, bring back that up, turn that back on so we can keep an idea on. There we go. 2.4 megajoules extra power in Icarus's battery banks, because it means this bar has 240 megajoules worth of more power we can store, which is great, because you see it's going to top out at like 300 and something, which means originally we had a storage of like 120 megajoules. 140. Whatever. Not a lot. We now have significantly more power we can store, which means it's longer and longer before we have to do a stop and recharge. Next up, we need more refineries. because we got access to that new recipe. The new recipe being X-ray cracking. X-ray cracking. We'll look at this one. So actually, can we look at this way? X-ray cracking. There we go. So this one, 4 seconds. 4 seconds to bring in one refined oil plus 2 hydrogen. And that's going to give us 3 hydrogen, so we get extra hydrogen out. Plus we get one of those refined graphite. One of the refined graphite things that we need. So, very, very quickly, on the maths, 1 refined oil every 4 seconds, which means if I want to consume 6 refined oil every second, 6 per second, I would need 4 times that amount in refineries. I need 24 refineries. On top of that, I need a lot of hydrogen. The good news is this system does duplicate hydrogen. The bad news is I need more than 1 belt's worth of hydrogen total throughput, which we don't really have. But what we do have is, if we set that recipe to X-ray cracking, what we do have is we have refined oil, which we're going to run down the middle. We're going to run... Does that line up? No. That looks lined up. We're going to run 6 machines again. So that's 3 sets of 2. We're going to run a hydrogen belt down the middle as well. Around about that long. And then we're going to run the output belts on the outside. And you'll see method in my madness in a minute. But first thing we want to do is we have this splitter thing here. Now, splitter thing is really, really handy, except it's sort of in our way. Can I move that tank to there? Yeah. And you just drain... Whatever. We're just going to pick up 3,000 liquid in our hand. That's still not terribly fast. Cool, we got 2 free drones. Whilst waiting to pick up 3,000 liquid. Cool. And if I... You do not want to drop this on the floor. You do not want to drop 3,000 liquid on the floor. You thought 52 card pickup was bad. Oh, I'm putting it in the top tank and it's draining down. There we go, that explains so much. Yeah, I just want to put the liquid back, please. As quickly as possible. Okay, well, at least you guys got to watch that thoroughly sped up. Alright, so what I want to do is I want to put in a splitter here. Except I want to press tab a few times to have a funny looking splitter. Because I want to bring out that belt above and bring it to here and then tag it down. Okay, so it's going to bring in our refined oil. That's going to bring in our hydrogen. And in this splitter, the reason we have the splitters is I want to be able to prioritize you go that way. So I want to prioritize towards the cracking. Okay, and then we want 6 refineries on that side as well. We're going to want a power pole, power pole, power pole, power pole, power pole. Because this is a run all about blueprints, of course, the blueprints for both the first and the second stage of this will be available on my Discord server later, along with, in case you missed it, yesterday's video we covered a Proliferator build, a endgame, high-end, self-proliferating proliferator build, which is good, but not something we're going to be getting into anywhere near this episode. Anyway, with that done, and one of these for me to stand by, what I need to do is I need to organize my inputs and my outputs. So we're going to bring in refined oil. We're also going to bring in hydrogen. And then we're going to output our hydrogen. Hydrogen on the inside or the outside? Good question, JD. Turns out it's going to be the inside. And then our graphite on the outside belt. And we're just going to set up our sorters. No, there are still belts waiting to go down. Okay, that's half the build done. Got that stuff. Let's start burning off hydrogen plus the refined oil. Cool. Alright, so that's going to bring in, like I said, the refined oil plus also the hydrogen. The other thing we're going to want to do is on the other belt, we're going to want to bring in refined oil and hydrogen. we're going to want to output hydrogen on the close side, graphite on the far side, and same story. I just want to drag these guys down so we get all our sorters done. Come on, any moment now. There we go. Alright, so gets all the sorters done. Now, obviously we're prioritizing that our refined oil goes this way. We also need to do the exact same with the hydrogen. We need to prioritize it into cracking first to duplicate our hydrogen. Obviously, the more hydrogen we feed into the system, the more we can duplicate it. Alright, after we get there, we have converted... look at this. We have, for every oil we put in, we get 1 refined oil out. We know we're taking in a belt worth of oil. We're getting out a belt worth of refined oil, which means we're getting out half that amount. So that's half a belt's worth of hydrogen. We're taking half a belt's worth of hydrogen here, and it's a 3 to 2. So if we take in half a belt's worth of hydrogen, we're going to get out 3/4 of a belt worth of hydrogen. You with me? So we're going to take our 3/4 of a belt worth of hydrogen and bring it up and into here. And run it out. And you're going to prioritize taking the pre-cracked hydrogen, because the pre-cracked hydrogen is the one I want to get rid of first, because that means that we've got a preference to making the energetic graphite. Okay, because if that runs out, then the science not run, and we'd like the science. The science help us get smarter and make Dyson spheres. So science good. Can I clear that? All right, so that's our first step. We got cracking up and running. I've used all the refineries, which is perfect. But I have a lot of waste product. A lot of waste product that I do not want the system to back up with. So we are going to, again, visit my dump chest, because I've picked up... Wrong button. Picked up goodies that I'd like to get rid of. So we have some titanium, some organic crystals, all sorts of things that we're going to end up using later. Have belt, have sorters, yes. Have power poles, have miners, have smelters. Okay, so with that out of the way, next thing I want to do is I want to make sure I don't have a backup of any of this material. I don't want to have any situation where I have crap that backs up and the system breaks. So we are going to come into this belt first. I'm going to put in another splitter here, because we're already prioritized to go that way. Actually, let's put you here. Gonna be a bit awkward, but that's okay. We'll just flow in this way, and I want you to prioritize going that way. But if you can't get out there, I want you to come over here. A little bit too far. Or maybe not far enough. I want you to come over the oil belt. And then around behind the oil pump. For a brand new belt here, which we are going to put down one of these guys. This is a thermal power plant. What it basically does is it burns things. And conveniently, hey, we get drones moving a little bit faster. Conveniently, our oil has, oh, we've got some right here. Oil has a fuel value. Okay, it has 4.5 megajoules worth of fuel, which is great because that means we can burn it. It also means, and this is going to be the important one, that we can put it in a thermal power plant. Now, thermal power plant does have an energy effectiveness of 80%, so 80% of it just gets wasted, which is not ideal, but we can live with it. And if I throw a sorter on the front of that, and then go clicky draggy, what's that? 1, 2, 3, 7? 7. We're going to go with 7 to start with. Okay. The other thing you can do with these guys, which is what makes them sort of awesome, and a lot of the power plants in Dyson Sphere can do this, is you can have them daisy chain. So we can see there's a tiny little sorter in here, which is going to move material from the first one to the second one. And in fact, we're going to daisy chain this again up to the 3 layers deep. Now, there's a limitation to how far you can daisy chain things, okay? Because the sorter has to be able to move the material fast enough before it's all burnt up. Obviously, bigger and better sorters can move things faster. Probably should use tier 2 sorters, but it's a backup. It's a backup with a simple idea that if this container and this container fill up with refined oil, it has somewhere to go. But you might also notice that we have a little bit of a hydrogen issue. As in, we have a lot of hydrogen and it doesn't really have somewhere to go. So I need to fix that as well. So we're going to bring that belt back. We're going to bring that belt back. We're going to... actually, you have a priority in with a priority out. So... that would be the other out. Alright, we're just going to pull it out the other out, and I'm going to bring this upper tile and above the existing hydrogen belt. And I'm going to bring it all the way up to the top of the map, basically. Because we just want a little bit of a blank area to build something nice. Well, nice. Functional. We want somewhere to be able to burn this stuff off. So I'm going to put a belt along here. In fact, I might just bring the upper tile down to ground level. And we might just zigzag this. Oh, I am so out of power again. Right, the base doesn't need power. Recharge Icarus. As fast as possible, please. Alright, thermal power plant. We're gonna put down only 6 of them because that's all. So we are building up towards the top of the planet, which means as we build up, the grid actually gets smaller and smaller as we build up the map. So we're gonna have to do things a little bit differently this time around. We're gonna grab another half a stack of those. We're going to burn off that and that because we can. And we're going to actually start here with a sorter in. And I'm going to drag you... Really? You don't like me already? There we go. No, hang on. A matter of standing in the right spot and looking at it in the right way, and then suddenly it works. Okay, so we're going to drag up first. Then I'm going to drag across. And then we're going to drag down. And because we've done it in this way, we should be able to build all these out. And the actual spacing at the bottom will get further and further apart. Okay, so we can see the spacing between these two is a lot more than those two up there. We want to drag you down to there. We want to bring that belt in there. And that belt in there. So the whole plan of this is it's going to burn off hydrogen. Come on. Yep. It should hopefully burn off lots of hydrogen if we get the hydrogen belt hooked up. So this splitter is prioritizing bringing in from cracking and then pushing it out towards science first. If it can't go to science, it will then go over here and get burnt off. But there is a chance, this is a very small chance, but there is a chance that we're not going to actually consume the power fast enough, because these guys, how fast they burn the fuel is dependent on how much power load there is on the system. At the moment we're at like 80% power, but that's all wind power. Hey, we got a milestone. We activated a thermal power station for the first time using hydrogen as fuel, mastering a new way of generating electricity by converting all available fuel in the universe into energy. Exactly. So, we're gonna burn off hydrogen. Now, we're not gonna burn off a lot of hydrogen. In fact, there's a chance we might not be able to burn it off fast enough, either because the belt doesn't move fast enough, or any such thing. We're just not using enough power. I end up putting down too many wind turbines. So, or we might just not be producing enough energetic graphite from this particular build, because it can't output the hydrogen fast enough to run this. So what I want to do is I want to put a backup plant, because I like backup plants. So we're going to come down to this coal patch that I spoke about earlier, and we're going to throw some miners at the problem. Like I said, I don't worry too much about miners. I just throw them on, aim for some good coverage, jam them in there, and we call it a day. We're going to bring out from there, across to there, up to there, across to there. That tile there looks like it's buildable. We'll plug you in there, you in there, you in there. We'll throw in wind here. No. Okay, no wind there. Alright. A real power pole there, a real power pole there. Hey! So now my bots can put down 2 things at once. Not that any of this lot want to, it seems. Okay, belt. 1, 2, 3. We're going to put a belt there for our output. We're going to grab smelter. Like so. You need 1 extra tile. We're going to have you be smelting energy. Graphite. In. Out. Drag. Drop. Power there, there, and there. And then, like I said, this is a backup plan. So, because it's a backup plan, I literally want to take it, well, not into the side of the lab, but close to, right there. I want to plug it in right there, and I literally want to sideload it. So, should this belt ever have a gap in it, i.e., our storage box ends up empty for some reason, I don't know what reason that would be, but if our storage box ends up empty for some reason, we have this belt over here that'll feed it. Any of these bots want to put down 2 things? No. No, super lazy. Alright. But this episode, we managed to get red science up and running. It is running at full speed. In fact, we have some very expensive red sciences coming up, so I might cheat, although it's not going to be the correct ratio. We might just build an extra set of labs. We do have a couple of sciences in the technologies pad. 1000 red, 1600 red. They're nothing but red science. So obviously the quicker I can burn through those, the better. Can I put in another stack of lab? Oh, that water I can build on. Well, if I can build on top of the water, let's go! Did that not work? No, it did work. Off by tile. Oh, so I can build here, but not on this part of the water. Just that part of the water. Okay. Alright, so, yeah, we're going to overload the science. We're going to make a red science as fast as we can, which should just back up the belt and give us a buffer. Same as blue science has a little bit of buffer. We should get a little bit of a buffer for red science. But, yeah, see, that's what I'm talking about. We're not actually burning the hydrogen all that fast because power load's not all that high. That's all I had, just 3 of them. Oh, collides. Yeah, we're going to put 1 there, 1 there, and 1 there. That way it looks like it was intended that way. Yeah, the power load's not that high, so we're not burning the hydrogen all that fast. But we have got another 1 meter per second movement speed. Yay. We have got a little bit more inventory space. We've also labs. Tied it up a little bit. Got a little bit more space in our inventory. We've also got Icarus half a dozen upgrades, which is great. We can, in the red science tree, get another movement speed. Nope. That's mass construction. Unlock Mecha sail, which lets us go off planet. Which, no, we won't do that one just yet. Because we need... The next research we need is titanium smelting. So we need to get titanium smelting before we can really progress much further, but I'm going to leave this episode here. I think Icarus has done really well. I think we've done really well. We can see hydrogen is being burnt off as fast as possible. These guys are still not able to output for reasons. I don't know what the reasons are. That belt should be moving at full speed. Oh, it is. It is. It's just... Yeah, these guys got 50 odd each, so there's a bit of a backup. But it will slowly clear out, and once it clears out, we should be doing a lot better. But yeah, I'm going to be leaving this episode here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Do hope you've enjoyed. I'll see you guys in the next episode, hopefully. And if you want a copy of this blueprint, this little oil blueprint, by all means, you're going to find it on my Discord server. Links are always in the description for Discord. Along with, I'll definitely leave a link. I'll leave a link to where I can control it, so therefore on my Discord server to the Optimus Prime build. Because I've got to admit, like, I I'm a giant Transformers fan, and the author did a wonderful job. It's very, very good, considering the tools, at least, that we're given inside Dyson Sphere, which, don't get me wrong, very, very good, but doesn't feel very prime-ish sometimes. Anyway, that's where I'm going to leave it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Do hope you've enjoyed. I'll see you guys in the very next episode. Alright, bye.